Testing, testing. Can you hear me okay? Testing, testing. Yep, voice on the stream. I can hear that now. Sure, no problem. Okay. Right, okay. Okay. And what's Chris doing? That's Chris is driving, is he? Okay. Ah, super. Okay. Got it. No problem. Just checking sounds at the moment. There's some engines on the stream at the moment. Let's see. Yeah, and I've got my voice over the top. Game sound might be, yeah, game sound might be slightly louder than the voice at the moment. Should be okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay. I don't think we can hear your comms on the broadcast now. Just my voice. Let's see, Willem coming out of pits. I'm going to mute my stream now that that's working okay. And the chat. Yeah, good to go when you are. Anybody I need to look out for? Noted that previous champion from last season. No problem. So not qualifying? Got it. Okay, alright. Okay, yeah, that's fine, yeah. Well, good evening, race fans, and welcome to Kyalami for the first round in our 12th season here at the SRA ESL ERS GT3 Championship for the first race of tonight. We've got William on pole from Ferry and Russell, then Mediri and Sauer in 4th and 5th, Sorrow and Ticini in 6th and 7th. Next up, Danhausen and Bullion from Burnett and Verwen in 10th and 11th. In 12th, we have Parks and Lataro, followed by Corsa, Midley, Guaglio, Tempera, Rossi. Give me, I can't read P19 at the moment, but it begins with an R, and then Carlo and others ready to race around this South African circuit here at Kyalami. Peter William will take us away from pole position. A 65-minute race for you on the cards. My name is Webbo, here to join you for the commentary this evening, and joined by all of you, of course, on stream. If you're watching for a particular racer, do let me know. Do let us know on the chat. Support your favourite driver or team, and we shall take notice and give you a shout out as well if you keep it nice and clean. And we'll make sure that it's supportive and we can have a good evening's racing in front of us. This is the first race of the championship, as I mentioned. There will be many more to come, but for now we will be just progressing around this formation lap, getting the cars prepped and ready. It is going to be mandatory refueling, which is fixed at 25 seconds with an optional tyre change that will cost the drivers 5 seconds if they want to. We have live stewarding going on in the lobby during the race, so watch out for that race chat, and you'll see if there'll be any steward instructions. We hope not, but there are measurements going on for every type of contact that might occur. So we're just on board at the moment with Willem, racing for Ferrari, with Ferry second. We've got teammates Rosetta and Mediri in 4th and 5th, and we're ready to get underway, just getting staggered for the race start, as you would expect. and let's strap in for a good one here as we wind up and get ready for this race. That's the second row of Rosetta, Italian driver driving for Porsche here in South Africa, as we get prepared then for the final corner coming up. That is the Ingve corner, turn 16. Two of the corners are not much of anything really around Kyalami. There's the kink of turn number 1 officially, and the turn number let's see, this turn number 12 is probably a full-on, but we're ready to go. We're getting our instructions. We've got a green flag, and the second row are already getting good grip out of the initial start, getting that kink underway. We're going to go 3 wide, as it looks like Rosetta is pinned down to the inside, but Willem defends well to the inside and holds on to that pole position, first position into the first 2 corners, as the cars organise themselves and get stretched away. Ferry is in second, with Rosetta defending now in that 3rd position. One car running wide in the background. I can't quite see him from my commentary position, but it is Willem that holds on to the start of this race at the in the lead. And there we have one of our front runners just struggling away. That is Gomez Rivera, who's moving forward, and it was Midiri who has lost out in a big way down the order at this early stage of the race. But there's a long way to go. 64 minutes just over to run, and he seems to be struggling at the moment, does Midiri, who's losing places hand over fist. He's now in 16th, and it's say make that 15th, now 16th, as the nose of the blue and green Porsche gets just ahead, and they get organised, they get steady into the Loiko corner of turns 10 and 11. It is Midiri now on defensive, but perhaps just about getting back into racing speed. This Porsche in the neon green and blue of Carlos is clearly able to command more grip out of the car at this early stage, and heading down the crocodiles and into Cheetah before the left-hander of Ingve, the final corner, turn 16, and then pressing the loud pedal down the start hatchings before starting their next lap away from the grid. Ferry is in second still, Rosetta in third, and Sorn, it looks like, has gone up to fourth, with Sauer in fifth. But we were looking for a moment there at Midiri. This is Parks versus Danhauser, making and moving up towards Bullim at the moment, who is clearly enjoying a good start right now, car 580. This is Ticini then, as we move forward up the grid, just tracking where everybody is finding themselves. Ticini, another Italian, I believe, who is just, we join him on board, running through the Kyalami corners and heading through now the crocodiles, through Cheetah and down the hill towards this final portion of the lap. Getting good grip on the inside is Ticini. This is looking at 6th place ahead as we stretch away. It's just nearly 4:30 local time in the afternoon. It's perfect racing conditions. It's dry. It's ambient temperature, not too high, and the track temperature likewise. So the drivers couldn't really ask for better conditions as they head down towards the final corner. As we watch, it is Midiri in the Porsche who's trying to move forward as far as possible. Got Sauer directly ahead now. Sauer in the Ferrari, looking for an opportunity. He peels out of the slipstream. There's a gap to go for, but Sauer, it's not a huge stop down into that first turn of Crowthorne, and Sauer managing to hold his line nicely through, back with Midiri then in 6th position, car 24, as we run through after barbecue, down the 2nd straight and towards the sunset corner. We're going to go ahead and assume that's sunset because it is west facing, so as the sun will set later on you may well see why it's called that. That number of turn 6 is called Sunset, and then it's a clubhouse. No prizes for guessing why we would have a quarter called Clubhouse either. So running, this is Danhausen, P10, Moritz Danhausen, looking for a way through Verweyen, and through he goes very neatly. Verweyen almost inviting him to go through. The Lamborghini looking very, very good through that corner. And then up the hill towards the mine shaft, left-hander taken virtually full throttle before heading into the slow Crocodile, and then through into Cheetah to draw this third sector to an end. R20 currently running in 13th position and looking for an opportunity to gain some time on the car in front. Next up, just having a look at who is close to one another, and it's the Porsche of Temper trying to get that 15th place from the Lamborghini. Car 117 peeling out, just indicating to his rival that he's sitting there and ready and waiting to pounce, as the Lamborghini goes pretty wide but defends okay so far. We're back then on board with Tempera. Bit of weaving possibly there, still trying to generate some tyre temperature, getting very aggressive on the tyres. And this is Carlos behind him, trying to again find a way through. Porsche versus McLaren in front. Through they go, trying to just keep an eye on everybody throughout the race as well. I see that we've had a change for second position, potentially. At the moment, running very smoothly through the race. Drivers obviously very cognizant that this is a long endurance race. Willem is getting a really nice gap out at the start there, but a green flag just following an accident. This is Martinelli, who has had an issue. Don't know if he fell or was pushed off the circuit at that point, but clearly losing time there to the main part of the field. Just he's now some distance away from the rearmost of the main pack. A little look down into the final corner into Ingve in the tail order of the race at the moment, as we try to get the underlap past the red BMW. Can we find our way through? We certainly can. And the move just ahead of this as well. So frantic action going on at this early stage of our race here at Kyalami. Into the brakes now and through the apex. Just changing camera perspective to see what this looks like from the car in front view. We're going to try an opportunistic move through the Sunset corner. Looking good, getting underneath the car and trying to find a way. We're taking the apex away and a sweep to the outside, and a nice defense there. That's Corso defending well, but only for 22nd place at the moment in the Porsche. That's Schuler, Villeneuve and Corso in that order as they run over the curbs as well. R14, Corso hanging on. This is Mediri, one of two Mediris we have. This is Christian Mediri in 18th place, car number 69. Livery. We run through Rosenhauer, and as he takes on the kink of turn 1 and looks skywards on the braking point for Crowthorne turn 2. Oh, there's a car very wide and out of shape. Oh, there's contact at the exit of the corner. Car going slowly, but there was no real excuse for that from the McLaren. Looked like a bit of a side swipe action there as the cars are sort of lining up to depart. That was the Aston Martin, the FRS Aston Martin, who has exited the racetrack, gone into the gravel. A small reset, maybe that's a reset to the garage, but I'm not sure. He's off the circuit at this stage. So joining then our Italian in car number 20, Guiglio. Forgive my pronunciation. My first time meeting these drivers today, so I'm doing my level best. I'm not able to read perfectly the names, but we'll try our hardest. Let me know if you are enjoying the race so far and if you're cheering on a particular driver. William still leads this one from Rosetta, and Soru with Sauer in fourth, and Elmadiri in the car 24 in that fifth position right now. This Verweyen, we saw him get overtaken earlier on, and just ahead of him is 21, the Lamborghini. Just scrolling through as we join Rosetta. This is now Sorry, who is in fourth place. Rosetta has the fastest lap of the race with Sauer just ahead. So looking for a way through and deep into this lap at the moment. So we will have refueling, we will have a pit stop, but difficult for us to know exactly when the drivers will elect to take that. A reminder, they are minimum 25-second pit stop time plus 5 seconds if you want to change tyres. The minimum refueling time is 25 seconds in our race. Heading down the hill to the southmost part of the circuit, Loikop corner, and 10, which feeds directly into 11, almost a parabolica style corner as we go through the mine shaft of turn 12. Very 130R-like corner, then uphill. Slightly blind apex of the crocodiles. 14 is just an acceleration zone that leads you to Cheetah. Cheetah named after the animal, not some less than ethical ways of gaming. And the final corner, Ingve, turn 16. In this beautiful and heavily revised and modified and resurfaced Kyalami circuit, FIA Grade 1 now. This one. So just running back through the order, settling on Tempera, who is in the Porsche, the white and yellow Porsche with purple accents. Are in front, running a little bit wide. That's Reisenhauer, giving a little bit of motivation here to Tempera in the Porsche as we head up the hill then towards that turn 2. Good overtaking opportunity, that turn 2. It's like a tame version of turn 1 at Circuit of the Americas, Big Red, isn't it? Through there, but we shall be very familiar with this circuit over the course of the next 50 minutes plus. Running nice and wide, trying to straighten out Sunset Corner for the straightest possible line across the apex. Leads the race. Rosetta still second with the fastest lap, Rosetta. But William still out there in the front. So Jose Carlos, 992. Good number for a Porsche, 992. And heading through that Loikop corner, turns 10 into turn 11. And then hard on the throttle, full throttle through the mine shaft corner. One of the difference maker corners, this crocodile, turn 13. And it's really working for Carlos at the moment. That was the Cheetah corner. And into the pits already, after only 15 minutes of racing, comes Jose Carlos. That's a very early stop. He feels perhaps that he's being held up by the cars in front, and this would be a good opportunity to action the undercut. Is the window open though for a refueling right to the end of the race, or will he be two-stopping this with shorter pit stops? he, of course, minimum time is 25 seconds, so that will be his stationary time, no doubt. That is Carlos then, car 22, not car 992, excuse me, down to the tail of the field in currently P24. Martinelli then, who is heading into the first major corner, really turn 2, with Rossi, joining Rossi on board. Stefano Rossi, our Italian in the Ferrari. Bit of a move going on from Viljonen on Gomez Rivera in front. Viljonen going around the outside and running wide himself. That opens the door for the Ferrari, who makes sure that he pins him to the outside. He had to rejoin the circuit, and the Ferrari of Rossi cutting absolutely no quarter there, and keeping his opportunity and keeping himself wide awake to that opportunity to pass early. Now it's his turn to chase down Gomez Rivera as they head on up the hill. So this is Viljonen in 19th. He's got Shida and Corso in front. Back on board with Rossi, who is closing in. We're just keeping our eye at all times on the closest battles, of course, as you would expect. Gomez Rivera defending hard into the Crocodiles corner. Little blend out of the throttle through Cheetah as we run up the order. This is then Christian Mediri, followed by Guaglio, through turn 2. And it's very busy on the racetrack right now. Tempera chasing down Brieshauser in 13th. And Guaglio and Mediri watching on very, very carefully. Someone in the crowd waving a green flag. That shouldn't be allowed, should it? And they feed on through. Super quick lap here in Kyalami. Drivers really going for it. We can see confirmation that the track is optimum condition. 21 degree ambient, 26 track temperature. Just a small 3 kilometer south-southwesterly wind. So really very consistent and good conditions for racing for us. We just saw a quick moment of various drivers going through there, but this is the battle to hold on to the podium at the moment. This is Sauer, who's overtaken Sorrow. So Sauer, surrounded by black and yellow machinery. The car in front and 2 behind our teammates, but that was a very good look up the inside from Sorrow. I don't know if he'll get the nose ahead. Oh, he just about will. So just making that move stick. There's Sorrow moving forward. And this is from the perspective of Sauer behind, who's just lost that position. Just running wide himself, struggling with the aero balance on the front of the car, but he's got some dirty air in front. And feeding out of that run as Mediri, that's El Mediri in car 24, has a look at Sauer too. Sauer struggling on this lap to regain his ideal racing line, but he just runs wide to the outside, keeps that one pinned and keeps the position for now. But meanwhile, Sorrow is getting away and chasing down the second place driver with the fastest lap at the moment. Maybe a little nibble at the tail there from we've got Mediri. He's having a little look at Sauer and Sorrow. Very close racing at the moment. We go on board with Mediri. Might have a look into turn 2. They pass through the kink. They're looking at Crowthorne, looking for that braking point. Doesn't want to push too hard, just piling the pressure on Sauer, who misses the apex slightly. A better corner from Mediri. And you can tell he's ready to pounce at any given moment, and hoping that he can put Sauer under enough pressure to make a mistake, and there were two wheels out on the gravel. Didn't seem to hurt his traction too much as Mediri manages to hang on and get the maximum out of that corner that he'd hoped. Running through the order then, Rosetta in second, Willem then well out in front. I can't see the gap at the moment, but it's pretty huge by view of the track map at this early stage, with 45.5 minutes just under to run. Willem well out in front and seems to be in a race of his own at this stage. There is Rosetta in the Porsche, and Tempera is in the pits, just taking his first pit stop. We've had an accident on screen, or a return to garage, so I don't think that those were scheduled pit stops from Sheila and from Tempera, who have gone into the pits. So I think there may have been some contact on the track, potentially. That is Martinelli getting past Sheila, who's in the pits at the moment, and that will feed through, and those return to garage actions will settle down on the time on the tower on the left of your screen as we get ourselves back organised. Ahead of Martinelli is Viljanen, who is chasing down Rossi. Viljanen, long way around the outside, makes a mistake. Now that had all the hallmarks of a disconnected rig, but he's back again. So I think just outbraking himself. Maybe he had brake failure, a mechanical in his racing rig for a moment there, but he certainly seemed to be able to steer once he got the speed scrubbed off. Viljanen down to 19th position, car 173, unfortunately for him, but he will try and regain that ground. Lots of the race still to run for him, and we run up back through the order to have a look at the gaps. Any close racing going on at the moment? We shall see. Yes, definitely in this group here, which is for Ferry, Sauer and Mediri, the 6th, 5th and 4th positions respectively. This is Ferry's Ferrari. Just looking for some advantage on the racetrack. Sauer with a much tighter line through the corner, getting through Loikop corner, the south end of the circuit, and then through the mine shaft and up towards the crocodiles of turn 13 and 14. Sauer going wide again though. Bit of inconsistency. I wonder if that's to do with how the car is set up and handling, but running wide, so suffering understeer quite consistently through this race so far is Sauer. He'll be looking to see what he can do to change his fortunes after his pit stop, see if there's any adjustment he can make during that minimum 25-second period of stillness. But holding firm in 5th at the moment, and out of the pits comes Sheila, and he's down in 21st position at the moment. So had a long hole in the pits there, and has come out having lost a lot of places, unfortunately for him. This is Christian Mediri then, and back up to that 15th position. Riesenhauer, excuse me. Riesenhauer, just ahead of him. That's Marvin in the McLaren, and looking for a way through. Feints to the inside, will be late on the brakes, but Riesenhauer closes the door with some authority and takes the racing line, leaving Mediri following with Corso just behind, looking for that opportunity to get through. Corso driving one of the very few Bentleys in the field, if only the solo Bentley in the field, with that characteristic very large nose on the car, and low growling engine, but it's working for him at least. No one else really choosing that combination. Now we're at Latero in the P12 in the BMW. He's got a nice bit of clear air behind him and in front of him. He can run his own pace here to try and maximise his points out of tonight's racing. But it really is a short championship. You really need to make your opportunities count here. There's no good having failure, a DNF, or a low score if you want to have a chance at at that championship. It is Parks here in P10 with Burnett just behind. And Burnett has been playing a watching brief behind Parks' BMW for much of the race so far. Next up, Vilvoyen chasing down Danhausen. We go back down the order to see Sheila in 21st. Now Danhausen here in P8. You can see all of his rivals ahead. He would love to pass if he could. In front of him is Bullion. Bullion driving the Aston Martin. 2 Aston Martins in our field. And that neon green moving forward up the order, then into 6th is Ferry. And then Sauer, who we've watched a fair amount already in the black and white Porsche, Ferrari, excuse me. A nice tight midfield here, just chasing down that final podium position, currently held by Sorrow in the Ferrari in P3. Here is Sauer. It's got it's a very normal Porsche colour scheme, white-black with a red accent, but it is driving a Ferrari, so that's why I called it a Porsche to start with. So I'm dealing with a slightly difficult quality visual stream on my end, so forgive me if I call the cars incorrectly from time to time. But in front of Sauer is Mediri in the Porsche, in the yellow and black Porsche. Many yellow and black liveries, of course, here in the championship. And second place is Rosetta. It's the fastest lap at the moment. He's the blue and green Porsche. Still holding on to the lead at the moment. Let's go back down to P15 then and see how Corso is doing in that Bentley, hounding down Riesenhauer in the McLaren. Riesenhauer has a very nice stream up and running if you fancy an alternate view alongside the coverage tonight on the stream. He's got his point of view, he's got his pedals and his racing rig all watching him. Riesenhauer in 14th position. I'm sure he'd rather be higher up though at this stage. Corso in 15th, chasing him down. Alessandro Corso looking for a way through. Just hounding the rear as he go into Loikop, going the long way around Loikop. Better exit, might be lining up a move into turn 13 here. Currently running through turn 11, and he does feed to the inside. That will give him the inside to Mineshaft, but put him on the outside and ideal racing line through. Wow, through the crocodiles, and what a pass through Mineshaft from Corso. That worked beautifully and got the overtake done. Fantastic stuff from Corso, making the move stick. Now I can look across and see that move take place in on the alternate view here from Riesenhauer. But there we have fantastic move from Corso. Now stretching away slightly using the power of that Bentley as they head up towards Crowthorne, turn 2 once again. Slight mistake though, running wide, far from ideal. Riesenhauer just fighting with the car. He's not on the ideal line at all, so it's not ideal for him. Slipping back at the inside and then running up towards P12. Just checking on Sheila. He's down in 21st. This is Burnett. In P11 in the Ferrari, car 219. Up though, what's Danhausen up to behind Bullion? Is Danhausen in the Lamborghini, virtually all black Lamborghini, and we've got the first pit stops from some of the lead group. This is Sauer coming into the pits, so that's a scheduled pit stop I fancy. 36 minutes remaining on the clock. Mediri then in 4th position. Has moved up thanks to that pit stop from Sauer. So it's hammer time for Mediri and Sorrow. Try and defend that undercut coming from the pitting Sauer, who's down in the 911 numbered Ferrari. This is a look down the inside. This is a pass for just a lap car. Rosetta ahead of Sorrow. Willem a long way away. Can't really see where Willem is at the moment. He's heading into Loikop at the moment. We're only just starting after the S's to head towards that corner. There is Willem. So out in front and doing the job required of him today. Really impressive so far. I feel like the only person that can beat Willem is a drop in focus or a mechanical at the moment. So let's see. Mediri then down. Christian Mediri down in 19th position. Just getting through some traffic. We have Carlos in the Porsche passing by the pit lane, going round the Ingve corner to start another lap. Jose Carlos in the 992, just ahead of Sheila, who had up that early. Mediri, let's see, as a look down the inside from Carlos. This might be a car coming through. See if there is a blue flag waved. Holding the inside, letting the car go. That was a blue flag situation for Carlos. Didn't lose a position, so the Lamborghini, I'm assuming, of Danhausen coming through from the head of the field. Up at the front temporarily there. We'll just check out who's in the pits. Burnett's in the pits at the moment. Is that Riesenhauer dropping down as well? So that's Burnett just coming out of the pits in the red Ferrari, as all good Ferraris should be, feeding out of the pit lane. Might have crossed the white line there momentarily. I'll keep an eye on that race chat to see if he gets punished for that. But moving down, so Sauer is currently in 13th after making that first pit stop from the leaders. It's Willem, Rosetta, and Sorrow, Mediri, and Danhausen, your top 5 at the moment with 32 minutes to run. This is Relio chasing down Latero in the BMW ahead. And then just checking on the pits. It's Willem in the pits from the lead of the race. So Rosetta for the first time will take the lead of the race as well as the fastest lap at the moment. Willem feeding out of the pits already. He's done that one pretty quickly. Peter Willem, number 57, racing for Germany and for Ferrari. And he will try and stay to the left-hand side of that white line and does so much more successfully than we saw earlier from another driver, but exiting the pits in P5 as other drivers go for their pit stops. I fancy Willem will be back on the pace. I think we might be looking at a 2-stop tonight by the looks of things from our drivers in order to fuel for the entire period. So this is Rosetta then, car 17 in the Porsche, the black and yellow Porsche, just doing a really good job at the moment. Passing by the pit lane does Rosetta as Mediri follows him. Teammates here at the moment are certainly matching liveries at very least. This is Glitch Motorsport in first and second at the moment. I'm sure they'll be pleased about that one, as we have trying to catch our driver's first name, Loris Mediri. And another pit stop then This is the BMW of Martinelli. Lots of Italians in our field here, and car absolutely peppered with sponsorship. Verwayen enters the pits in his BMW, and that promotes Parks. So it's Rosetta and Mediri teammates for Glitch in first and second, as Willem picks up a place. I'm sure that will become officially P4 now as he passes by the pit lane and passes Verwayen for that position. There we go. So moving back forward again, and the size of the lead he had earlier, it could be some time before we see anybody else threaten him, unless they decided to do a different strategy. It is Gualio in P5. Looks like we have just seen some rain begin on the racetrack, so we should might be a change of conditions here. A little bit of rain coming. That will cause cascade pit stops if the drivers feel that they can't cope on slicks. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this changes the shape of the race. Of course, those drivers who decided not to pit until this point might have had an absolute stroke of genius or luck here. Rosetta and Mediri, they'll hang out as long as possible to see what happens to the rain conditions and the weather, and whether that means they can actually effectively skip a pit stop versus Willem, who just pitted from that lead. This is Riesenhauer, P17, and into the pits comes Rosetta. Is that Mediri behind him in the pits as well? So they've decided not to wait on that rain. The track's still reading in optimum conditions, so difficult to really make a call for intermediate or wet tyres right now. Parks in the pits, Mediri, Rosetta, all in the pits. So Willem, I'm sure, will retake the lead of the race as he feeds on through the glitch and back into the lead of the race. Only a couple of laps did he relinquish that lead, thanks to the different strategies. Keep a close eye on conditions in the racetrack, but currently drivers quite happy on slicks. There's your leader then, as was Willem, and Rosetta back out on the racetrack, just trying to get some temperature in these tyres, and one of the slower cars is caught in between. Doesn't want to lose time and lose a position at this early stage, but that means abusing the tyres a little bit more than he'd hoped, and heading on through sunset tyres, just coming up to temperature now, slowly but surely, for Rosetta, who was, of course, in second place. Looks like P2 has not yet pitted, car 24. That's why he has fed himself all the way up to P2 at this stage. That's Gualio. And Rosetta has Ferry behind him, and his teammate Mediri, Loris Mediri, just behind him. So it looks like we've got Ferry in a bit of a glitch team Ferrari sandwich right now. The Porsche sandwich at the moment. He's the Ferrari in the middle. Yeah, looks like Rosetta just got himself back up to racing speed. Made a bit of a hash of that one. Through the crocodiles and into Cheetah. And down into the braking zone of the final corner. You can see one of the drivers pitting. Scheduled pit stop with just under 27 minutes to go. For order then is Willem, Gualio, yet to pit, I believe, from Rosetta and Ferry, Mediri and Sauer, Danhausen, Julian, Sorrow and Verwayen in 10th, then Viljanen, Burnett, Parks, Corso, Christian Mediri, Riesenhauer, excuse me, Carlos, Martinelli, Rossi and Lautaro into 20th, with Sheila at the end, at the back of the grid in 21st position. Rosetta retakes that second place that he had for so long earlier on. Ferry, Mediri drive on through, and these are the pit stops further down the order, with Alessandro Corso in 14th in the solo Bentley. Quick check on the cars here. Lautaro committing that cardinal sin of having different race numbers on his livery. His car is number 58. He's actually got Valentino Rossi's 46 on the car as well, and that's definitely not approved of by commentary and broadcasting individuals. That's car 89 then. Or was that 98? Yes, car 69 there in Mediri in 13th. Riesenhauer in 14th in the McLaren, the only McLaren in the field. A few fairly ill-favoured manufacturers here: Aston, McLaren, Bentley, Lamborghini, and the rest of the field: Porsches and Ferraris and BMWs. Willem leads Rosetta, 25 to go exactly. Late in the day, game time, 5:04 p.m. Doesn't look like that rain has turned into anything much just yet. It was very light if it's still falling, but I don't see it on my screen at the moment. We've got Ferry still. He's placed himself very well through that pit stop cycle, Ferry, to get in between Mediri and Rosetta to that third position. Here is Carlos, Jose Carlos of Spain. Drivers drive for team points and for manufacturer points, and then we'll just rely on them to present their nationalities as well as possible. Close fight though, up at the front for P2. Rosetta cannot get himself away from Ferry. Ferry looking the more aggressive, stronger pace at the moment. Seems to be suiting his Ferrari right now. Kyalami circuit. One you see a lot of sim racing at, but hopefully that's going to change, because it's a really challenging and high topography change kind of circuit. Really track that delivers a really strong challenge and a strong sense of identity. Notwithstanding the fact that it's great to have a race, an FIA Grade 1 track in Africa. South Africa at that. Willem leads though by excuse me, a strong distance. That's car 57. Willem leading this race, but this is the battle for the 2 steps below that on the podium. Rosetta holds on and just gets a little gap now, so looking pretty good for him right now. And he hold on under all this sustained pressure though from Ferry. His teammate not really doing him much in the way of favours. Hello to Simi. He says raining around 15. That would figure. I don't know how much longer ago that was that you left that message. Apologies, only just noticed it. But raining around 15 minutes is says Simi. Through the order as we see Rosetta, Ferry, Mediri, and then here is Stour, who was running higher than this earlier on, but has settled into this 5th place. He's can certainly see Loris Mediri in front, so certainly not out of touch from that podium at the moment. Mediri in that 4th position for Team Glitch. Behind him, Danhausen and Bullion, who are looking to try and get in the mix too. Certainly well within the right order, and it looks like Mediri pushing pretty hard because he just went out onto the grass there for a moment. This is the Aston Martin, lime green liveried Aston Martin of Bullion, number 580, going through the kink and just after the start finish line and heading up the hill. Another car has gone wide on their braking zone. Just a sign that maybe fatigue and tyre wear is taking effect here on the drivers. And again, another sort of slightly wide run there from Bullion. 7 at the moment. Has to join him on board, albeit just for a moment. Remember, we have live stewarding, but I don't think there's been any major issues. The worst I saw was maybe a side swipe from a car rejoining the circuit, and maybe a cross over the pit exit line. But really nothing too difficult to report to the stewards. This is William in the white and black Ferrari car 57 at the head of the field, and then the opposite Fortunes. This is Sheila, who's managed to make a place up to 20th at the moment. Is that a penalty on his car at the moment there? And he has a stop-go penalty to pay, unfortunately, for 30 seconds does Sheila. So if I hear from the stewards as to what that reasoning was, I will let you know, of course. It looks like speeding in the pit lane potentially. So thanks to our producers for sorting me out with that info. Gualio then is 15th at the moment, and just tipping the car over the curb. It's not going to be ideal for tyre wear for Gualio. Back up then to this battle for the podium, which has kept us on the edge of our seats so far. 19.5 minutes to run in our first race of the championship here in Kyalami. And it's Willem, Rosetta, Ferry, Mediri and Sauer. This is Sauer's on board, so you can see the cars battling for the podium just up ahead. Sauer with a really strong run there through the sunset, turn 6. Terveli for Clubhouse, turn 7. And then, unfortunately for him, the concertina effect of the car in front just getting on the power that little bit early. But Sauer on the up at the moment, certainly having a good run right now. Oh, getting very crossed up on the brakes. It was a little bit late for him. He'll probably claim he was surprised at the braking performance of the Porsche, but slightly out of position. And as the punter in that scenario, it's kind of your job to brake in a different line if you get closer and closer to the car in front. So we're looking strong though. In front of him, Mediri. We're looking in his mirrors from time to time. There's a blue flag for the leaders going through. Just flashed up on your screen on the left side for a moment. Mediri in 4th, Sauer in 5th, holding on right now. Real threat coming from Danhausen in the Lambo behind at this stage. He needs to get a move on, and they're going to start slowing each other down now. You can see Sauer, his attention's behind Mediri, is opening that gap from Mediri to that podium, and these drivers now will see that podium slipping away from them. Cash prizes here for the podium, so there's a lot to play for. Through the tight Loikop corner at the south side of the circuit, turns 10 into turn 11, and then up the hill again through mineshaft left-hander, which is just about flat out. Heavy braking, very heavy braking, and this is the glitch Porsche of Mediri. And we're looking for a way through across the cheetah curve on the inside, and then the final corner to Ingve, riding the inside curb early on the power. There was your back marker just indicating that he's going to get out of the way, get out of the throttle. That looked like it was Rossi in P19. So far, leaders haven't really threatened breaking into the offline there from Sauer, but he's just trying to keep Mediri guessing where he's going to have a go. But the more he goes offline, the more he'll be vulnerable from Danhausen behind. We know how close Danhausen is, and we're looking for a good opportunity here. And there you see Danhausen getting very excited around the outside, going through the sunset corner, and Sauer has a much tighter line, but there's a defending move from Mediri. Holds the inside line. Sauer's going to have to time this one because Mediri is driving defensively very, very well, but he's losing time to third place in front. Sauer, you feel only a matter of time now before he can make that move. Just to remind you, Willem still leads from Rosetta and Ferry. And there was a move. Oh, and we've got some contact on the circuit. Who was that? That looked like one of the glitch teammates who'd had a problem getting past the back marker, potentially the car off on the exit of the corner in the background there for a moment. So big problem for our team glitch Porsches, who are now struggling to hang on. Ferry has gone up to second place because it is that Rosetta has dropped down. I think Rosetta was passing that back marker. It's the only explanation I can offer. And that promotes our drivers up the order. Sauer still in 5th position at the moment. He's got in between them though. He's got in between Mediri and Rosetta. And we're going to go for a replay and have a look at that, as you can see. So let's see what if we can find that moment. I tried to watch it on the stream, and that is, oh, he was rear-ended. Rosetta was rear-ended by a back marker braking. That is, and then a really bad rejoin. I didn't catch who the back marker was, but problematic rejoin from Rosetta. He was still on the circuit. I suppose it was better he was moving. It was Viljanen who ran straight into the back. So fantastic direction there from race director. Thanks for that. But yeah, really problematic for Rosetta to be rear-ended by a back marker. That's the absolute worst nightmare. Quite what preceded that is difficult to say, but then Rosetta rejoining on the circuit meant that he was crashed into by Sauer, and that only just kind of helped his teammate, but Mediri has lost that position to Sauer, and Mediri, after defending hard for so long, had an unforeseen problem come in front of him. So now it's Rosetta trying to hold on to a podium instead of getting that second place. Willem has picked up the fastest lap once again, and if the rain is going to arrive, it's going to arrive shortly. And that would mean that the fastest lap will stay with our race leader, Willem, who had the pole position. He's held on to the race lead ever since the start, with the exception of his pit stop. He stops just slightly earlier, and now Sauer is pushing really, really hard into the final corner. Just on the very edge of track limits, but that's where you find the time. So if you're watching, let us know what you think of that incident that we saw the replay of. What did that? What is your view on what went down? Is it just a racing incident, or should something be done? Potentially, we shall see what the stewards decide. I can't imagine the stewards letting Viljanen get away with that, but what can you do to a car who's already that far down in the order anyway? Mediri, P5 then, and hoping to try and get some rhythm back after a very difficult situation, because they may have suffered some damage. It was a fairly hefty impact from Sauer onto the rear flank of Rosetta. Mediri kind of got a bit caught up in that too. Never quite know what extent of damage the drivers are having to deal with. Willem then still leading this in car 57. We have just under 12 minutes of the race left to run. Behind Danhausen, and then behind him Bullion, and the only Aston Martin, that neon green behind. Looks like the podium might be sorting itself out, but Sauer is still chasing just ahead of this group. Sauer is still chasing hard. He's been dropped slightly by Rosetta, whose natural pace is at that P2, and Rosetta will be trying to get that back. This is riding with Danhausen's Lamborghini, and he's got a great run here. He has to go for a move, surely. Dives down onto the brakes, leans onto the front axle, but he runs out of room. And very smart defending once again from Mediri. Didn't want to get involved in an out-braking competition, and just neatly slotted back through. That brings Bullion further into the mix now in the Aston, thanks to his watchful driving. So Danhausen had a go, but it didn't work out, did it? That time out. Bullion driving for LNR. Bouncing over the curves. No sign of that rain just yet, from my view anyway, at the circuit. Danhausen hot on the heels of Mediri. Sauer's been given a bit of a reprieve, and through goes Danhausen once again. Just occupies the apex. Mediri tries his best, but Danhausen was already alongside, so there's no way to close the door once the horse has already bolted, as it were. The bull was bolted, I suppose, in the Lamborghini. And Danhausen with a nice move. He had a practice go at it, and it didn't work the first time, but he just held on. Slightly shorter braking zone for him into the crocodiles, but made it stick. And now he's up to 5th. Mediri has moved backwards since that incident and is struggling, I think maybe struggling with the condition of the car. 9.5 minutes to go in our race. It's Willem, Ferry, Rosetta, Sauer. Now Danhausen, followed by Mediri and Bullion, who is hot on Mediri's heels. Sorrow, Verweyen and Parks, your top 10. All big, getting super crossed up is Danhausen. And that's going to release Mediri and let him have a go, but Danhausen occupies the correct side of the circuit for Sunset. Slightly offline, but it should feed out to be okay. Through Sunset, now into the clubhouse corner. And Danhausen can get back on the racing line neatly through the S's, turn 8 and 9. And then down the hill. Eventually, there we go, over the crest and down the dip into Loikop corner. Different lines available to the drivers, but at the moment Mediri in 6th had a sniff at an opportunity through past Danhausen, who is going for it. What's this? A very defensive shape there from Sauer, who's really struggling on the brakes. He's allowed 2 cars through. Sauer drops down to that 6th position now as Danhausen and Mediri slip through. Is that an indication perhaps that Sauer has underfueled or has suffered more damage than it looked like? Looks like we've had team orders have been delivered to Sauer to release Danhausen. So Sauer fast giving up place after place at the moment. Bullion gets through past Sauer as well. So Sauer may have just given up 1 place, but he's given up several at this stage. Far from ideal for him. So Danhausen up to 4th. Sauer all the way down at the moment to 6th place. Make that 7th, I believe, as Bullion has got through. So Rosetta has been given a penalty, it seems, for that unsafe rejoin. I'm hearing in my ear. So 5-second penalty to Rosetta. I can't see what his gap is, but I don't think it's going to be enough, is it, to hold on to the podium. We'll see what his gap is to the car behind at the moment as soon as possible. But Rosetta in P3 been given a 5-second penalty for that rejoin. Technically he was already on the circuit, but he drove into the gap that was left for the cars to come in behind him. We've got 6.5 minutes to go, and the stewards have gotten a little bit busier now lately. No news yet from Viljanen and what he might suffer as regards a penalty. We shall see on that one. He did get a 10-second, I'm hearing, so Viljanen, okay, excellent stuff. So he was given a harsher penalty for that late braking and affecting our race lead so considerably. Willem in first, though, leads the race. Danhausen now in 4th. And his job here is to try and catch and be within 5 seconds of Rosetta with just under 6 minutes to run. That's his clear target right now, is to get within that penalty of Rosetta, who is hot on the heels. It looks like a Ferry, and hoping to distance himself. Just saw a quick flash through of Rosetta chasing down Ferry, unless he was lapping another car. Looks like Rosetta has got back on terms after that very difficult situation for him. He got caught by a back marker braking late into the back. It's Williams still leads this one then, and Ferry and Rosetta at the moment. This is Mediri trying to hold on to 5th. And we've got behind him Bullion in the Aston, and behind him now Sorrow in the Ferrari. Sorrow's brought himself into this battle because effectively Mediri is going backwards and elongating those gaps. Someone causing a lot of dirt to kick up there. I didn't quite catch whether that was Bullion or Mediri. No matter as far as Sorrow's concerned. Just under 4.5 minutes now left to run in the race. 4.5 minutes for William to complete the Grand Slam. Still got that fastest lap. Haven't seen the rain still. Through the barbecue corner, and that was a good run then from Sorrow. It's an early traction advantage, but the top speed of the Aston just pegging that gap from Bullion. Through they go then into the clubhouse corner, and now the S's over the crest. Tricky couple of corners here, very similar to the Villeneuve chicane in Imola, which is one of our races in the championship, by the way. A look down the inside, perhaps from Sorrow. Bullion sees it coming, holds the line at the moment. Sorrow has a much shorter run going through Lloyd Cup corner, but Bullion will try and hold on to the outside, but it looks like through the mineshaft turn 12, and car 19 has managed to get himself ahead into P6. A nice move from Sorrow. He brings himself up to that 6th position now. Can't see what news of Ferry, Rosetta, Danhausen just yet, but that move has worked really well for Sorrow. You can see Mediri just in front of him. Here is Rosetta. I can't read the gap just yet, but I shall catch it. So it's 6 seconds Rosetta to Danhausen, which means that he is clear at the moment. Rosetta, can he see Ferry in front? Just about, but is he too far away with 2.5 minutes to run in our race? Well, he's not a mile away from Ferry, but he is if you count an additional 5 seconds. So he just needs to run some qualifying laps now in the field, as Danhausen has to lap a vehicle in front. That's Martinelli, 16th position. So Danhausen needing to get through past Martinelli. Would love a blue flag or a move aside. There's a blue flag anyway. And pre-race instructions for drivers were that slow cars are not to impede after more than 2 sectors. And a dive down the inside then from Danhausen. And his mission very, very clear. Can he close the gap to that 5-second penalty of Rosetta? He needs to gain a second or more on Rosetta at this stage. This is Sorrow then, who's got himself ahead of Mediri now, and Sorrow on the ascendancy right when it matters at the tail end of our race with just under 1.5 minutes to go. Sorrow has brought himself into 5th position, promoting himself against Mediri and Bullion in the last two laps. Now they have to get on through that back marker of Martinelli. It's almost 1 minute left to run now in the race. Willem holds on. There is the Martinelli BMW just moving aside, hopefully for all three of our rivals here. Yep, looks like they're getting through. No, just as I spoke, and he gets right in the way of Mediri. Closes the door after being later on the brakes than one of our lead runners. And there's the windscreen wiper on at the front of the car, so it clearly is raining to a certain extent. With less than a minute to go, the rain begins, and it's coming down heavy and hard to finish our race off. Can our leaders survive this one with just a few seconds left on the clock, I wonder? It looks like we will see the final lap indicator very shortly, and Willem leads this, but the rain is teeming down. This could affect our podium, no doubt. Windscreen wipers hard on the car of Bullion in the Aston, looking for a way through now. We're down to 0 minutes to go. That is 0. It will be the final lap of the race. Where is our leader at the moment? Willem is in first. Willem will cross the line and he wins the race. Willem wins in Kyalami, the first race of the championship, with a masterful Grand Slam win of pole, fastest lap and the race. No one's going to get the fastest lap on this one, on this race. Ferry, I'm sure, has crossed the line already. We're keeping an eye though on this battle between Mediri and Bullion, but will Danhausen close the gap on Rosetta as they come through the final corner just ahead of this group? I don't know if Danhausen will do it. Crosses the line now underneath the tower. Bullion holds on against Mediri, so it's Rosetta from Danhausen and Sorrow. Ferry got that second place, but Danhausen in fourth, Sorrow and Mediri, Loris Mediri that is. Next up, Verweyen in eighth and Parks in ninth. Sauer, after running among the podium runners earlier on, will presumably hold on to cross the line in the 10th position at this stage. We have just ahead of Sauer, we have Parks getting 9th, and there is Sauer picking up the 10th position, crosses the line. He's actually been demoted to 11th as Burnett picks up 10th overall. Across the line then for Corso, out of the final corner, and Corso picks up 12th. The rain is falling hard. Many drivers in the pits already. Here is Christian Mediri across the line for Glitch in 13th. And that is the end of our race. Just to complete the order as we see it: Gualio, Reisenhauer, Martinelli, Carlos Rossi and Lautaro finishing in 19th. Viljonen is reading as 19th on the finishing order, but there you have it. Willem wins by 22.6 seconds from Rosetta, who gets a 5-second penalty, and I think that means he will lose the podium, as Danhausen has a 4.2 second gap to Rosetta. Unless that penalty has already been applied, I don't think it has. I think Danhausen has got that podium. Rosetta then presumably in fourth, from Sorrow, Bullion and Mediri, 5th, 6th and 7th. Let's wait for it to feed through, and then 8th is Mediri, 9th is Sorrow, as Sauer finished in 7th. And let's get those race results for you on the screen. Here we go. But tremendous race for our first run here in the championship in season 12. But from me, Webbo, from everyone helping out around the broadcast, from our stewards and everybody on the channel and the Discord, we thank you for watching. Thank you for following the channel, and from all of us here on the channel and in the background, our appreciation to you, and we will catch you on the next race day.